Let me ask you your own personal views on this. Do you believe, or do you see Israelis or Jews, and this is going to be very blunt and probably come across to you as very vulgar, as almost guinea pigs in some great divine spiritual Armageddon story of the rapture and the end of the world? Because it seems like so many of these people who support Israel, for example, only seem to support them insofar as they must return to some historical biblical holy land, so that not they but Christians then can respond to the rapture and the revelation and the prophecies therein.
Well, there's a whole ideology or a mindset among Southern Baptists and Southern Christians, such as a John Hagee, who recognize that there's deficiency in their idea of Christianity without the connection to the Catholic Church. And Protestantism is a deficient religion without the assistance of the Catholic Church. However, what Protestantism has done, and people like Hagee and Southern Baptists do, they vilify the Catholic Church so that they can have some semblance of the fact that they are legitimate in what they're doing. But they are a truncated organization, as Christians we are, without the aid of the Catholic Church. So they accuse the Catholic Church of being a great whore. And there's nowhere in the Bible where they can document that. One of their theologians came up with it some time ago, and they've been running it without stopping. The other thing is that, and so in order to feel that they are verified, many of these Christians, like Southern Baptists and John Hagee, associate themselves closely with Israel because they know that Israel is a legitimate biblical position, and they then feel that they, by attaching themselves to the Jews, that they are indeed validated as true believers of the Lord Jesus Christ. But in many ways, they use the Jews to verify themselves and also to substantiate themselves. So I think it's a washing of each other's hand and playing a game, but they realize that the real power is within the Catholic Church, and they're trying to undermine that power.
Church of Allah worldwide, all Jesus all the time. I'm not specifically sure where you fall or where your church falls in the sort of constellation out there of various denominations of the church. But do you believe, or is it your personal belief or the belief that you espouse from the pulpit in, I guess what you call a literal interpretation of the Bible, that Jesus will return, that Jesus incarnate, corporeal
that,
Jesus will return?
I do believe that. I do. We are in that mode. Yes, we are.
Okay. Now, if you would allow me as a non-believer to suggest something, I'd like to get your reaction to it, because you were talking a moment ago about the requirement almost, and sort of the way you made it seem, of having the sort of your beliefs, your ethics and your morality sort of grounded in some sort of spirituality. You know, from the outside looking in, as I would judge politicians, as a non-believer, I would think that a person who honestly believes that a man who has been dead for 2,000 years will one day return in corporeal form, not spiritual form, but corporeal form,
right,
would show a lapse in judgment based on my understanding of the natural world. And I would wonder out loud whether that person then could be trusted to make the kinds of earth-level decisions that you might have to be the President of the United States.
And that's fair skepticism regarding Christ and what we believe about him. However, I think that if we're able to make the leap and believe that somehow or another there is a God and that he does exist, and whatever way we can identify him, then he is not limited to our ability to appreciate. The whole thing, I think, rests on this when we talk about spirituality. Even though you're looking from the outside in to those of us who are Christians or spiritualists, you are unable to think a thought outside of the confines of what God has already established. That is to say, the Solomon verse, there is nothing new under the sun. What is meant by that, and what I'm trying to connect with that, is that all of the thoughts that you have generally been thought before, or the appendages. Your thought may be the appendage of some other thought. I mean, Mozart may have some great ideas about music in D minor, but and you come along with another song in the same kind of a realm, but it is only an appendage of music that has already been produced, and more specifically, music as a general entity for the entire planet is something that's well understood. You cannot think about another form of music outside of the general understanding of music. So, or moon, or planets, or I'm amazed at the vastness of our universe. I mean, our next door galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy. I mean, and you think about the Kuiper belt just outside of our galaxy and our planets. I'm amazed at how vast that is. But even that, we can't think a thought that goes outside of the borders of eternity, nor can our thoughts exceed the universe itself. Everything that we think has already been designed by God. And if that's true, then it would be no big deal for Jesus to return in a body and say, hey, Pastor Man, it's time to get up from here.
4:20 is our time. If you'd hold on for a second, I do want to find out about your I have a sense of Pastor Manning's feelings about Barack Obama, but I want to zero in on those. Clearly, the gentleman has some antipathy toward Barack Obama's candidacy. I'd like to find out exactly why. We get back to Pastor James David Manning on the Stacy Taylor Show in just a minute. He has pastored the Atla World Missionary Church in Harlem, New York since 1981. He's on the hotline. You're listening to 1700 AM.